unusual fellow. I'll start off by saying that because, you know, it's pretty rare in a race for the United States Senate that you have a small businessman, an ordinary, common man, one of you that dares to take on the establishment and run a statewide campaign. But I will tell you that I can sit back no more. My heart, like many of yours, more than likely, or you wouldn't be here, is burdened about what is happening in this country. And so I just felt like, you know, the Lord's been very gracious in that He's blessed us with a good business. I'm in the funeral business, as some of you may know. Lori and I have a couple of funeral homes and small cemeteries and a crematory in the Houston area, one in Magnolia and one in Spring. And He's been gracious to send family after family after family to allow us to take care of them whenever they've lost a loved one. And I've always been kind of teased, shall we say, about being rather tight. I use the word frugal, but you know, I've tried to live below our means. Lori's been a great support in that. And so our nest is empty. We have no personal debt, so we're able to do this because I've got some precious people that work for me. And I just felt like I was at the point in my life to where, you know, that there's a scripture that says, to him that knoweth to do good and doeth it not, to him it is sin, right? I just felt like I could not sit back anymore and just allow the process to continue to repeat itself. You know, Einstein said that the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. And so I don't mind telling you, although I'm not sick and I'm not tired, I am sick and tired of career politicians, and I'm sick and tired of the elitist telling me how I need to vote. You know, thankfully my mind still works okay. I can make up my own mind, make my own decisions, and plan to do that. And so I just wanted to share that little bit of information with you, but there are 8 of us right now that are running. A gentleman just got into the race who also is a small businessman. The main difference between us 2 small businessmen is that I don't even have the word amnesty in my vocabulary, and he believes that anyone who is here illegally should receive amnesty. And he's a fine fellow, but I just profoundly disagree with him, okay? Now, the main thing that sets me apart in this race, I'm the only one of 8 people in this race who from day one have pledged in the spirit of the Founding Fathers that I will serve as a citizen legislator. After 6 years, ladies and gentlemen, I am coming back to my day job. I'm not selling my businesses. I'm not buying real estate in Washington, D.C. And to try to set the example, you know, it's so important, I believe, that somebody set the example. Now, I personally favor term limits of 12 years, but somebody has got to get us started back in the right direction. And so I don't want anybody to be cynical and think, oh yeah, right, he's going to be there for 12 years. So I'm saying, look, 6 years for me, I'm going to set an example that's different. And to demonstrate my sincerity, the day that I take office, I will close my political campaign fund. If you're not running for re-election, you don't need to keep taking the people's money. So I don't know how else to demonstrate my sincerity than to do that. Something else I will not do, I will not accept the lavish pension. I will not accept the exclusive health care plan that Congress has for members for their own selves. I go there to represent the people, and I plan to propose pretty significant spending cuts, and so I need to lead by example, I feel. Now, tonight I'm going to talk about one issue that's tied to a lot of things, and then I'd like to find out, in fact, let me go ahead and ask this question. I'm going to talk about the economy, jobs, and part of that deals with regulation, with trade. So I'm going to kind of talk about the broad issue of economic issues, but what else is an important issue, a hot button issue here in Beeville, Texas, because I'd like to know that as I talk with you this evening so I can address some of your federal issue concerns, if you will. So what other than the economy and jobs and things like that? Yes, sir.
Is Rio Grande River.
Immigration, I believe you must be talking about. Okay, all right, and one more.
The entitlements that allow our ER to be used for constipation, nausea, headache, etc., etc.
Okay, all right. Then I'm going to go ahead and deal with these 2 issues, and then we'll get to what I really want to talk about, which is the economy and jobs, etc., okay? The first thing, if you go to my website, glennaddison.com, you will see detail after detail after detail. I'm proud to tell you that even though this is my first and will be my only rodeo, I have gotten compliments from people that have been involved in politics for years and years and even decades. Say, Glenn, I've never seen such a detailed website. Those of you that have been on it may agree that you can find out most anything you want to about me and my positions on my website. I believe that you deserve to know what the people that you might consider voting for, what's going on up here, as well as their background. So you can read about me from when I was born in 1961 in Pasadena, Texas, or Stinkadena, as I can say, since I was born there. I was only there 2 days, and I went home to Channelview, where we lived for 11 years, and then I moved to Magnolia, where I grew up and where we've lived, our little family's lived now for 23 years. But with regard to immigration, the first step, and this is a complicated issue, but I'm going to tell you step one. Step one is that we must close the floodgates, okay? The floodgates are wide open right now. Now, if any of you have problems with high blood pressure, I'm giving you fair warning that you need to go ahead and take your medicine right now, because tonight I'm going to share a couple of things that'll just get your blood boiling. And sweet Lori, I forgot to bring in my Constitution and that little ad that's in the back seat of the car. I'm so sorry, but I'm going to demonstrate something in a few minutes with the Constitution. And that little ad, Lori's right on top of it, okay? The first thing that we've got to do is close the floodgates. Now, I don't know how many of you are aware of it, but let's just say that you, sir, right here on the front row, and you, sir, right also here on the front row, let's just say that both of you are in the Army, okay, or in the United States military, whether that's the National Guard, the Army, Air Force, Marines, whatever. And you two ladies temporarily are not there, so y'all are on the southern border, and so there's an opening between the two of you. Now, I don't know how many of you know this, but if I, as an illegal person or as a person in Mexico, were to walk across the southern border into Texas, did you realize that neither one of these men have the power to apprehend me?
Right.
How many of you did not know that? Let me ask it that way. How many did not know that? Okay. In 1878, the Congress passed the Posse Comitatus Act, and it prohibited any U.S. military person from apprehending anybody for any reason. I think that's an outrage, because we're not able to enforce our national sovereignty and defend our national sovereignty. So what I would do, I don't favor a police state, but what I do favor is amending the Posse Comitatus Act so that within 1 mile of the border, you two men can arrest me if I walk across. Whereas right now, I literally, remember when you were a child and somebody said, "Nana, nana, nana, you can't get me"? Well, that's kind of what anybody could say to us right now. It might be in a different language, but they can say that to these two men right now and just walk right on and say, "You can't touch me." All that these two men can do right now is get out their phone or their radio and call the Border Patrol and say, "Border Patrol, somebody just walked across illegally. You need to come get them." Well, we're 30 minutes away. Well, I can't help that. I'm just telling you, somebody just walked across. Okay, we'll get there as quick as we can. That's an outrage. Okay? Most of us in this room probably are descendants of immigrants. I have no problem with legal immigration. I have a major problem with illegal immigration. There are consequences to law breaking. Okay? A few weeks back, Magnolia, where we live, has a red light camera. A few weeks back, and just as soon as I did it, I knew I was guilty. I kind of rolled through a red light as I was turning to the right. And I thought, oh, doggone it, I just got photographed. Well, the car is in Lori's name, you see. And when it's a red light camera that catches you, they just send the ticket to whoever the car is registered. And so 3 weeks later, just like clockwork, here's this citation that arrives. Well, I knew I was guilty.